Hello, everyone. I hope everyone are doing well, and I'm really happy to the chance of being here today with so many colleagues and sharing our experience and also our passion. My name is Gonçalo Leal. I'm a speech and language pathologist, and I'm the clinical director of iStutter. And today I have the pleasure to have here two dear colleagues and friends, Elsa Soares and Cátia Catita, that please, can you join me? Hi, hello.
Hi.
Nice to see you. So we choose to bring this topic because a lot of colleagues reach us, usually with these kind of questions, saying that sometimes they have the struggle between the theoretical concept of early intervention or when they are working with school-age children who stutter, and they feel they have a few lack of options to work with kids who stutter. So I challenge Cátia and Elsa for this webinar so we can discuss and change ideas, and of course also to hear from you what kind of materials, games, toys it make it easier, your intervention. So I have the pleasure to first introduce Elsa Soares. Elsa is also a speech and language therapist, and she is the responsible for Speech Care Training Center, the development and research manager, and right now she's based in Abu Dhabi. Hi, Elsa.
Hello.
And also Cátia Catita. Cátia is based in Portugal, in Lisbon, at our center. She's a European Fluency Specialist and our coordinator in our center for the early intervention with kids who stutter. So hello, Cátia. Hello, Elsa.
Hi, everyone.
And now I'll give you the words. So please.
Thank you, Gonçalo. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining us in this moment that we have this pleasure to share with you. So me and my colleague and friend Cátia will be here talking in this live session about what kind of materials, games, toys do we have in iStutter Center to work with preschool-age children and school-age children who stutter. So maybe now, Cátia, our first thing, let's go and let's show our room at iStutter so that you can explain how do we have our therapy room like that, and the first side of the materials that we have. So please show us.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, everyone. It is very, very good to see all these people here and to see that you have interest in hearing us talking about this topic. And I will show you our room and how everything is thought to, and everything is a purpose. So as you can see, we have this very child-friendly room with a lot of colors. We have in the walls these smiling mountains. And this is the place where I start the session with parents and where I have the conversation at the beginning and at the end of the session with parents. As you can see, we have here a television that is a very important tool because we use that to see videos with parents, to observe their at-home interactions and to understand how is practicing going. And to also answering some questions of the parents, because we know that they sometimes don't know how to react to some of the children reactions to stutter, even react to stuttering, and how to talk to them about it. So here we have then small table and these tools where I have the conversation with the little ones, very interesting conversations. And here we have a part of our collection, of book collection, that are something that we really like here. We have some books about emotions, for instance, some more specific about stuttering, some about how to overcome fear. And we know that we can talk about so many topics with children just through a book. Here we have a board that we use to make some draw, of course, and also to put out the points when we are playing. And this is something that we can use for a lot of things. Here, we also have a very important tool. We have a mirror that we use to practice with children. Sometimes I put here the stools and practice it with them, some of the techniques, so they can have the feedback that we know that is so important. And I also have there a small mirror that I sometimes put at the table, but this is a tool that we have in all of our rooms because it is really important. And here we have this part where we have some toys, but as you can see, they are not outside. They are not outside. We have some of them here, of course, but the most toys are there for children to not have a lot of stimulus, because we know that is important for them to not be so distracted. And to finish, we have here a very important part of our room. This was, as you can see, everything was taught. And this is a stage where we can practice with children some of the techniques. We can put them in the spotlight and to give them a space where they have all the attention, because we want them to feel comfortable when they are the center of the attentions. So this is the place where we can practice this, and they love it.
Thank you so much, Cátia. So yes, let me reinforce our greetings for all the people that are joining us. And, you know, it is really exciting, of course, to see all these people from all over the world. And of course, also see people here from the UAE. Thank you so much for joining us. So as Cátia was saying and showing us at iStutter, we think carefully about every detail in order to the child and the family feel comfortable, and in order to make the process an enjoyable process. So Cátia, and sometimes at iStutter we also have our trainees that go through internships. What is the importance of them understanding our materials and games and toys?
Yeah, I think this is very important. It even doesn't only our trainees, but also in our courses, we also receive these questions. How can I pass through the theory to the practice? And sometimes this is something that people think that in fluency we have the different materials. We don't have a room that is similar to the other areas of speech therapy. But in fact, I think that the point is that we have to know our goal and then to adapt what we already have. Of course, that we have some specific materials, and this is important to understand that sometimes we have to build materials as in other areas, but the thing is we can use almost everything to work and to achieve our goals. And I think that this is a very important point for people to understand and to decrease the fear of working in the stuttering field, that I think that sometimes we continue to have a lot of SLPs that have this fear of working with people, with children and people who stutter.
You know that I love the detail of the stage. That is one of the things that I love the most in our therapy rooms. How do children react when you propose them to go to the stage?
I know, I think that it's very natural. I think that they just come in and they go to the microphone. They just do that. They love to be
And
they love to be there. Yeah, and they shine. Yes.
Yeah.
And I think that for them, it is difficult at first if I ask them to do like, okay, tell me a story, or tell me about your day in the stage. And I think that this, as we have some complexity here in terms of language, they will get a little bit more, I don't know if I am able to do that, but as always, and this is the rule in therapy, we need to go with hierarchies. We need to understand that at first we need to ask them something simple and to get them to reach the most difficult activities, but giving them some comfort, and they need to understand that we will not go to the most difficult activities in the first session. So I think that this stage, I used it in a very natural way, but also taking into account that I can't just ask children to do like, tell me something more complex, or to use a technique that I feel that they are not so comfortable with, and to put them there. So I think that they really loved it, but it's important for us to be aware that we need to go step by step, and to not put them at the spotlight, and to give them too difficult activities, and to understand this.
Yes, it is a balance between empowerment and the hierarchy of intervention. These details of empowering the child during the process of intervention. So at iStutter, and as we know concerning research, we go through different phases of intervention. And we know that a lot of research tells us the importance of desensitization and the importance of identification. And most of the times we start here with desensitization and with identification. So the first question that we hear a lot of times is, and these questions I'm going to ask you, how do you explain what is stuttering to a child?
Yeah. And I think that what is stuttering and how to talk with them about stuttering, I think that this is the most common questions, right? And even parents, I think that this, and it's important to also say that desensitization is something that is not only for the child, it's also for the parents. And it's very important to understand that sometimes we need to, we will not have always children that already have done a lot of steps in desensitization, and a parent that's still here. And this is important. But yes, because parents ask that a lot, and also our trainees and our and people in our courses. And what can I tell you is that it's different for every children at first. I think that this is something that we need to understand, is that we don't have like, okay, you need to do this way. No, I think that even all our speech therapies in our team, I believe that all of us do that in different ways. But I can give you an example of how I do this with the children. And this is a common way that I use. So firstly, it's important to understand also that children who stutter are aware that they stutter. Because we heard a lot that, oh, children, so they are so little, they don't know, let's not talk about stuttering with them. And we have research that shows us that children, even at their 2-3 years old, they don't know that what is happened to them is stuttering, is how this called.
They do not know the name.
Exactly, but they know that something is happening to them. They know that they sometimes want to speak and the words do not come as they thought that they would come. And we need to find ways to talk about this with children, because we will not go anywhere by ignoring this. So it's important to, I usually ask children like, okay, do you know why you are here? And they sometimes say yes, sometimes they say no. And I ask them, okay, so, and do you know what I do, my profession? And, oh, no, okay, so I'm a speech therapist. Do you know what speech therapists do? And sometimes they tell me like, oh, yes, I know, I have a friend that also has speech therapies, and we can go through this way and understand why. But sometimes, and most of the times, they tell me they don't know what a speech therapy is. So I explain to them that speech therapists can help children to get that speech easier, that can communicate in an easier way, and that we can help children in a lot of things. And I give them examples like, okay, so I will tell you the reasons why some children came here and play with me. So I have children, they don't know the name of things. For instance, they don't know that this is a chair, or they don't know that this is a book. This happens to you? And they usually tell me, oh, no, I know the name of things. And, oh, okay. So I also have children that don't know how to say some sounds, like they don't know how to say the sounds like the snake, and like, oh, no, I know. And sometimes they show me. And after this, and after tell them a lot of options, I go and tell, okay, so you know that some children came here because their words get stuck. Like they want to talk, they want to tell something, but the word cannot get out. And oh, this happens to me. And we have here a way to talk about this. And usually what I do is to get very excited about that. Oh, really? Tell me about that. Oh, this happens to you. And they tell me with their words, and I have the most funny answers from children. I think that one day we need to have like a book with all the answers for this.
Yes, but explain to us, what kind of materials do you use to make this, to help children understand what is having the word stuck in the mouth?
Yeah, because here I have like, for instance, we know that the stuttering like these fluencies, we have the blocks, the repetitions, and the prolongations. So for instance, I ask them, so, and when your words get stuck, you feel that they get stuck, like when Winnie the Pooh got stuck on the honey and he couldn't get out of there, and they say, oh, yes, or no, that doesn't happen to me. Okay. And okay, so let me tell you another one. So sometimes when words get stuck, they do like some jumps. So they do something like that, and it's, oh yes, sometimes I do this, and we play a little bit with that. And I tell them that sometimes the words stretches, and this is a prolongation, and ask them if this sometimes happens to them. So this is a way, and this is some of the materials. So here we have simple toys that we can use to talk about stuttering with them.
And for example, if we know that when we work with stuttering, children have to understand how the speech works. How does it work? But as they are very little, how can we explain them how the speech works? Yeah,
so we give names to our toys.
Yes,
and sometimes I have some colleagues that knock at the door and, do you have the speech machine? This is the speech machine. So this is the speech machine, and this was built by a colleague of Costa Rica, Andrea, and she sent it to us, and we used it a lot, like every day. So this is the speech machine, and we use it to explore with children, what do we need to do when we need to talk, because it is complex. We know that communicate is the most complex activity that a human being does.
Yes,
exactly. So we need to explain to them. And I usually ask them, okay, do you know what do you need when you want to speak? What are the parts of your body that you need? And they always tell me the mouth, always. always the mouth. I only need the mouth. Okay, so let's talk about this. So, and how do you get your ideas? How do you think about the words that you have to say? And we get to the brain. And here we'll explain to them that we have the brain that has so many ideas, that we have the lungs that will give us air. Then we will have here the vocal folds, and we will feel that they vibrate with some sounds, they don't vibrate with some sounds. What do we need in our mouth? Because we need the lips, we need the teeth, we need the tongue, and we can do different sounds when we move the different articulators. And I also introduced to them that it's important when we are communicating with someone to listen, and I can ask him at this point if he feels that sometimes people interrupt them, or if he's good at listening, because we know that a child that interrupts a lot, it will have more and more a higher communication pressure. So we need to work sometimes this kind of.
This is a way of bringing all of the abstract concepts more concrete. But then we have this challenge also related with telepractice, not only because of COVID-19, but because nowadays this is a reality. So we have these physical games, and then maybe we had to develop, and we developed them, and iStutter, these digital games to help children through this process. So can you show us some of that?
Yes, I can. And it's important to tell you that even though we use these digital activities more in the teletherapy, we also use them in the in-person sessions, because the opposite too. So in teletherapy, we can use physical toys, and I can have this here, and the child can have something at the other side. And in in-person sessions, I can use digital materials. So this is something that it's important to talk about too.
Yes, and it is important to say too that whenever sometimes we are in tele practice, we can see some toys that the child has at home, and we go through the initiative of the child, right? This is really important.
Exactly.
So
very
can
important.
you show us some of that?
So I can show you firstly this one that I use with all the children, that is very similar to this one, as you can see. And here we can explore the speech machine. And sometimes when we already talked about the fact that words get stuck and stuttering, I can ask them already. So, and when words get stuck and when you stutter, what do you feel in your body? And we can start to explore. Okay, and this is something important, and we can use the Zoom tools, and okay, I feel tension here, or I feel tension in my lips, and we can ask children this, because we know that this exploration, that this knowledge that the child will get about his speech mechanism and his stuttering will help him to desensitize, because instead of being running of stuttering, we are exploring it, and this is very important. And yes,
you go.
Okay, and here we also have this material that was built for the little ones, because we know that sometimes the other image is a little bit abstract to children with 3-4 years. So we have here the train, and we will build the whole train, and we will ask children, for instance, what we need first when we want to talk, and you have to tell me. So we need our mouth, or we need our brain that has a lot of ideas. And as I told you, they will always tell me the mouth, but then I will explain to them that is the brain. And then we will go to the different phases, and until we will have the train completed, and we will have all the things that we need to do to be able to speak, and all the parts of our body that we need. And something that it's very important, and I think that something that we need to tell also is that parents sometimes are with us during the entire session, and they are observing everything that we are doing with children. With some children, we think that, or we feel, I think that this is the most appropriate word, that it is better to have him alone at first, and then to go and invite the parents to show them what we have done, and ask parents to participate with us, and then to explain everything. And after the session, if it is an online session, we can send to the family the activities that we have done. And even in an in-person session, the fact that parents are understanding everything that we do, it's important because they will be the ones that can repeat this at home. So this is important to talk about.
And as you were saying too, this also contributes to parents' desensitization that we really have to work on, not only on the child's desensitization, but also in parents' desensitization. Then, you know, when we are talking about exploring the speech machine, we are talking about, but we know also that there are a lot of knowledge that children have to learn pertaining to stuttering. How can we work this kind of knowledge? We have a lot of myths related with stuttering, and all of it is related with the sensitization, with the ability of the child and the parents and the family and the teachers to speak openly about this. So what kind of materials do we use at iStutter to explore knowledge?
Can I just add
yes.
this question, because if you probably, when you answer, you also will answer a colleague, Umera, that the question of Umera, she's asking if it's appropriate to ask a 3-year plus when they come to therapy, if they know why they're there. As sometimes some children are not aware why they are seeing a speech and language pathology, so they don't even know that we are speech and language pathologists. So and also if the child is not aware, if it's okay to ask them, why are you here? Or if it's okay to ask the child to check if he or she know why she's with us.
Yeah, I think this is it's a very important question, because as I told you, it is always different for every children. And actually, I always ask parents, what have they told the children that they were being here doing, and what was the purpose of visiting, in this case, Cátia. And having this answer of parents, I can adapt my speech to the child, okay? But in fact, I think that when we are talking here about awareness, I think that, yes, he cannot be aware why he's here in this case. He cannot be aware that what he has or what is happening to his speech is stuttering. But he is aware that something is happening. Okay, and we know that children, even with 3 years or even smaller, I have children with 2 years old that sometimes have a lot of reactions to their stuttering. We see children with 2 years in this 2 years old that have a lot of escape behaviors, and this is a sign that they are aware that something is happening. And in this case, it is not appropriate to just, okay, let's not talk about this because he's a 2-year-old. Because, okay, he's a 2-year-old, but he feels that something is happening. And in this case, of course, that I will not tell him that, okay, the name of this is stuttering, but I can show him that this is a space where I will acknowledge all his feelings, and that he can tell that, okay, I don't know, something is happening. Sometimes I remember a kid that told me, my speech is broken. And I was like, oh, but tell me about that. Why do you think that? Because we know that children have these kind of ideas, and if they don't have an adult that explains to them what is happening and tell, no, your speech is not broken, it's everything okay with your speech, it will decrease his concerns about it, it will decrease the reactions to it, and this is very important. But in this case, it is okay to, I think that it is okay to ask them if they know why they're here, because if we know that they don't, if we know that they don't know why they are here, we can help them to understand that, okay, but this you don't know, but we will play, we will have fun, we will talk about different kind of things and learn things about speech, and without a negative connotation.
Because we have here this important thing, we have the observable, the primary behaviors, as you said, but we also have the secondary behaviors, and but also the associated reactions. So sometimes children do not say that they stutter, do not say that they have a speech problem, but they show us in another way that they are struggling with it. So I don't know if Gonçalo want to say something, because I would.
I was just I was just thinking, and because we know that the way we talk with the child, it's not the same way we talk with another one. So in the first moment, we are trying to connect with this child and family, understand what they are experiencing, their beliefs, how they are experiencing this process. And I was thinking that sometimes I'm talking with the child about what is the mom's job, what is the dad's job. And I ask, do you know what I do? And usually they don't. And I explore that. I play with kids to make the speech easier, because some kids experience some trouble when they are talking. And I can ask, it's difficult for you to talk, or for your speech, you feel it difficult? It's also a nice way to start to assess the level of awareness or discomfort to talk about this. But I think we should be open about talking about stuttering. Of course, it's very individual. Again, I'm also thinking about the colleague who had some problems talking about stuttering with the kids in front of the parents, because the parents felt it was too much open about it. And so again, I think it's a very individual the way we choose to talk, but I think it's really important if the child is doing therapy to know why he or she is there. I will take my opportunity to ask two more questions. One from Nicholas, and it's related to what we are talking right now about parents and children. And Nicholas was asking about what attitudes parents should have when they listen to their child stutter, or what should they tell him or her or behave, or how they should behave when the child is stuttering. I think it's a very important question to address. Another question from Al Hanouf, I don't know if I'm saying it properly. What do you use, Cátia and Elsa, to explore with the school-age children how they feel about their speech, or their thoughts about their speech, more in an assessment perspective?
Okay, I can start with the first question related with how should parents address the child with stuttering. So concerning and thinking about what we have already talked here and discussed here, if we see a child stuttering, if the parents see the child stuttering, we speech and language therapists, we have to empower parents to know how to deal with these kind of situations. This is one of the major points of intervention too, is to help parents. Of course, they do not know how to react most of the times, and that's why we have to help them. So if we see a child stuttering, it's just like when we see someone, if we see an adult, I used to say this, if we see an adult who needs help, do we ignore the adult? Maybe we do not. So we also do not ignore the child who is stuttering. So if the child is struggling to say a word, we empower parents to come to the child and to acknowledge, I know that that word was difficult for you to say, and this happens to me sometimes too. Do you want to talk about that? So it is very important that at the moment that the child is struggling with some word and the parents see that, the parents can go through this and can hear what the child has to say and explore if the child wants to say that I am mad at this because I cannot say the words. The child has to, the child has to feel has to have this feeling of being listened, and this is a way, of course, also of parents having the opportunity to talk about what is happening. So yes, parents must be empowered to not ignore the moments in which a child is stuttering. And then Cátia, you can answer the other question.
Yeah, I can. And I think that we can also move to answer this question. We can also move to materials, because actually we have some materials that we use to explore what children feel, what they feel, what they think when they stutter. And I think that it's important when we explore what they feel, what they think, to also explore sometimes the beliefs that give them this kind of ideas. And I think that's a game that we use a lot, and this is one of the games that we use the most. That is a game that me and Elsa and some of our other Portuguese colleagues built, and the idea is to translate it to English. I hope that very soon to give you this new. But this is a game where we will explore reactions and attitudes, to explore some of the beliefs and to increase the knowledge about stuttering. And here we will talk about a lot of myths about stuttering, and then we have also some challenges to children and to the family too, because this is a game that was thought to be played by the child, but also in the session, in the therapy, but also by the family, at school, with friends, with everyone, because the purpose of it is to increase the knowledge about stuttering. And we know that increasing the knowledge will help children to decrease their negative feelings and attitudes towards stuttering. So I think this is a very good example. Then we also have, and in terms of physical materials, we also have a lot of toys that talk about emotions. This is one of my favorite ones, that is the emotions detective. That is it is amazing, this game. But when we have a lot of interactions, and we will ask children how do they feel when they have this kind of interactions, and sometimes we can adapt it to stuttering and ask them how do they react, what is for them the best reaction to have in this kind of situations, and why. And this is a way to explore with children their emotions, how they feel, how they react to stutter, how do they think about the situations.
So Cátia, I'm sorry for interrupting you, but we're having here a lot of questions related with the cards. So can you open the game, that we can give some of the examples of the things that are here. So this game, yes, as Cátia said, can be played with the child, with the family, with the teachers, with the early childhood educators. And this is each child or each player takes a card, and then you can show some cards. This game is divided into categories. We have the knowledge category related into 3 categories: knowledge, challenges, and the other
reactions and
the reactions. Yes. So we have here.
I can give you some examples. For instance, in the reactions, we have something like, should I finish the sentence of the person with stutters when she or he is stuttering? And we can ask this to the family, or even to the child, and here we have an opportunity to ask him, and do this happen to you a lot? People sometimes finish your sentences. How do you feel about this? Do you talk with people about this? Have you already told your friends that you do not like when they do this? And we can open the space.
And maybe if when we give this game to families, it is important to say that the game has very complete solutions in which the parents can read everything, every solution for each card, so that everyone can play and can really understand what is meant.
Yeah, yeah.
You
I
can give the example, for example, of the challenge, a challenge.
Yeah. This is a good one.
when we think about the challenge, then maybe we could talk about the voluntary stuttering. Oh, yeah.
Yes, because here we have a card that asks, do you think that you can be the player that will stutter in the most funny way? And here we will use voluntary stuttering, that we know that is a powerful technique that we use with people in all ages, even with the 2-year-old children that I told you about. And I think that, yes, it's important for us to talk about that, because this is something that we use in the sensitization phase, and that is very, very important. And
it is very interesting because it allows not only the child to stutter in funny ways, but also the mother, the father, the siblings, everyone will experience stuttering. And this is a way of really powerful way of the sensitization. If Gonçalo is here, it is because he wants to.
I just want to add, because I know that you will explore, Cátia, some materials about modification, or to work about tension or duration. And some people are asking specific questions like, if I have a child with prolongations, how can I manage that? Or what kind of games that we can use? Or if they have a block or repetition. So just keep in mind, when you're exploring materials, to focus on these two.
Yeah. And it's very important to understand that when we are working with children and when we are thinking about what materials to use, we have to think about a lot of things. We have to think about the pattern of the stuttering. If he has more blocks, more repetitions, more prolongations, if we see tension, if we see long or short moments, if we see very rapid repetitions, or if they are, how can I say it, more slowly, slow repetitions, because we know that if they are very rapid, like repetition, we will have a children that is experience higher sensation of loss of control. So we will help them to change these characteristics of the stuttering. But we will also have to have into attention their characteristics about linguistic abilities, attention abilities. We will have to take into account executive functioning. We will have to take into account their interests, because we know that to get them to be motivated, we will have to use materials that are adapted to this. So I can show you.
Yes, that's the point.
Yeah, so I can show you.
Yes, the tension.
Some of the materials about voluntary stuttering that we use. And I think that we can go to voluntary stuttering. I can show you, for instance, because we know that, as I told you, we have to work in hierarchies. So we will start with words, then with sentences, then with image descriptions, for instance, then with spontaneous speech. But we have to have this hierarchy. So here we have an example for a children that for instance had repetitions. Here we have the frog that represents the repetitions, and the Winnie the Pooh that represents the blocks. Okay, so here we have a game that was built for practicing voluntary stuttering in sentences. So we will spin this wheel. And here we have the sentence number 15. So we will look at that, and we will have to use repetitions and say this sentence. Okay, so we will say something like, the Rocky has one bag, for instance. And as you can see, we have always the same structure of the sentence, because we want children to go to different phases. And here we don't want them to be thinking about what sentence should I say. No, we have here the sentence, and you only have to say the sentence using repetitions or blocks. And here we are desensitizing the children to the sensation that he is blocking or he is repeating his words. Okay. And I can show you other examples because I think that we can move to the modification and to talk about, for instance, the duration of these fluencies, because we know that it's important to explore with children the fact that sometimes you can have, for instance, a long repetition or a short repetition. And for instance, in the therapy room, let me show you, we can have a big frog. This is a big one. And we can have a small one that will represent the long repetition and the short repetition. And before we start to work on these characteristics, we need to understand if the children understand this concept, because for some children, and especially for the youngest ones, we know that it is not, these are a little bit abstract. Is a long or is a short, so we have to adapt to their linguistic abilities and to understand if they really know what we are talking about. And for instance, we have here in the digital example of this, because we have here the short repetition that has a very few jumps, and here a frog that has a lot of jumps. So it is a short repetition and a long repetition. And we will start, and this is very, very important, because the therapist should be always the first to do everything. We will not explain something and ask the children to do. No, we will do it. We will show how easy it is. We will do it with a smile on our faces, and to make the child comfortable and to make the child to want it to do this with us. And for instance, here, I will say something. Okay, so I will tell the name of this, and I will use a short or a small frog in this case, or a big frog. And you have to tell me if it was a big or a small one, okay? And I would tell something like carrots, and you will have to say that it was a long one. Okay, and with this, we are desensitizing the child to the fact that sometimes he has a very long repetition, and also to show them that they have the abilities to modify this, that we can modify these moments, that we can make it shorter. And here, let me show this, because Gonçalo told about this, and this is a very important one. Because we know that a lot of times we see that children has a lot of tension. So we will have to have a way to explain to them what it is to have difficult word that has a lot of tension and they are struggling a lot, or a soft word that it's easy. And we will have this kind of analogies, and we can have a lot of examples. This is just one example that was used for one child, but it can be something that makes sense for the child. We just have to be sure that they understand the concept. And here we want them to understand that here we have a lot of tension, and it's like a block with a lot of tension, or a block with no tension. Okay, so we then can have games where we will, this is the one, but I can show you. This is the one for the short and long repetitions. And here we have a game with Super Mario, because it was built for a child that really loved Super Mario, that it's very important to adapt to their interests. And here the child had to choose a color and a number. And for instance, he told me, okay, I want pink number 3. So we have to say this word, in this case, using a small frog. And we have a lot of examples. Oh, just small.
Just frogs. No more.
Okay, long one. So we have the short or the long, and the child has to try it on. And here we can use this for word level or sentence level. We can ask children to build a sentence with this word and using a small or a big frog. And for the duration, we have, for instance, this one. Let me show you. We have here a wheel also. We can spin it. See if we need to say the word with tension or without tension. And then we have here the words that we have to say. And to finish this phase, we also have, for instance, this that was built. And you will see that we have a lot of materials that were built for specific children, and we will adapt in this case. So we have here the game that was built for a child that adds very, very rapid repetitions. So we want them to be slowly. So we will explain the concepts again. And here we have the turtle that will represent the slow repetitions. And here we have the rabbit that will be the fast one. So here I want the child to tell me if I am doing a slow repetition or a fast repetition. And I will use the words and do one or the other, and it will tell me what am I doing. And then I can invite the child to do it also and to try, or sometimes, and it was happens in the most cases, children ask me to do it and tell me, oh, can I do it? Yes, of course, it is my intention for you to do, but I don't want to force you to.
Cátia, we have this, we are talking about these primary behaviors and the ways of changing tension, duration, but then we have that game related with associated reactions, that it is also important to explore the associated reactions with children. We know that they may have cognitive reactions, emotional reactions, physiological reactions. So can you show us that game, then what we explore in that game?
Yeah, this is one that was built for older children. And we know that this is easier to do with older children than with the small one. But actually, maybe firstly, I can show you a material that I use with the little ones, that is Play-Doh, that we use to explore and to build, like, okay, if stuttering was an object, or if you have to draw stuttering, what it will be. And we can do this kind of activities to see what children tell us about it. But we know that this is easier with older children than with the youngest one. It's not impossible to do it with the youngest one. And I think that books, draws, Play-Doh, and a lot of these things help us to get to the point, and also these kind of games about emotion, and then to relate them with stuttering. And this is possible to do with children, that's small children. But here we have an example of something very, very simple, in fact, that we use a lot with children, because we want them, even if they are 6, 7, 8, to understand that is a relation between what they think, what they feel, their behavior about that, and what in the way that they are speaking. So we can ask children what kind of thoughts they have when they are stuttering, what kind of feelings, and we have cards that I show you with example of feelings, good ones and not so good ones, to explore to them, and kind of behaviors, for instance, because we can tell, okay, the other day a child told me that sometimes he thinks that we will not be able to talk in his class, so he felt nervous, and then he didn't put his hand to talk because he was afraid. So what you think that it was, what you think about the situation, and we can do this like that.
Yes, we had a lot more to explore concerning the sensitization. I saw the question. I think that Gonçalo is bringing here the last question, the question that was made, that I think it is really, really interesting. And we can go through that because we are being asked if stuttering modification is preferred in young children than fluency shaping. And we will talk also about fluency shaping. And it is important to say that and we discussed this a lot, of course, that before working with fluency shaping, it is really, really important to be sure that the child, the family, the teacher deals well with the stuttering, that they have spoken about emotions, so that this phase of the sensitization is really, really well done, so that we can go through fluency shaping. Most of the times when we work very well the desensitization in very little children, this will have a great impact in the fluency. And it will have a great impact in the decreasing of the stuttering frequency. So the sensitization or the modification, stuttering modification, can have a great impact in little children. And only then would we go through fluency shaping. But concerning fluency shaping, we also have here some material to show you. But we have to be very fast because we are right away. We are just finishing and we have some things to say before the end of the session. So maybe Cátia, show us 2 games, maybe. I don't know if Gonçalo.
I just want to add something that I think it's important, and people always ask. This question that Omaima is asking, it takes some time to answer. What is preferred, fluency shaping or stuttering modification? I will say it depends a lot of the child and of the assessment, but we believe on an integrated approach, even in early intervention. So I think it's a very hard question to answer in a short period. But Cátia, I think it's important to explore how or what kind of activities you ask families to explore outside of the clinic, because like Omaima was saying, how can we do the transference, how the child will generalize to the other situations, so other real life situations. So I think it's really important to explore this too. What kind of games that you propose, or what do you do?
Firstly, I think that it's important to understand that, as I told before, that parents need to be at the therapy room. And they can be all the session and observing everything that we do, so they be able to do it in other contexts of the child. But and even if they are not during the entire session, they need to be in part of it, in part of the session. They need to participate in the activities that we are doing, because we need to be sure that they know how to do and how to practice with children outside the therapy room, because we know that children will only be able to generalize the techniques and what we are doing if they practice outside the therapy room. Okay, and we do this, and I think that with small children, the important part is, okay, we need to have we need to define with parents, okay, I want the practice to be this, so I want you to do this, let's practice here so you feel comfortable doing this at home. And we define during what time they will be doing that, who will be the one doing that, the goals for the different times of practicing. But this is well structured with the family. And for older children, I want them to have experiences that are not only happening only in the therapy room, but also at home and even in other situations. For instance, I can tell you that children, and starting from 7, 8, whatever, they are used to go outside the therapy room, to talk with people in the building, to go to the cafe and to ask for something using the techniques. We want them to have real life situation, and we will go with them, we will do before them, we will have them doing, we will explore the situations with them, and in this way we will have generalization. And just to end and to show you just so I can show you one. Okay, I can show you one. But I think that this is a good example of how we can work with children about fluency shaping. And in this case, we will use the pauses and the flexible rates with children. And we have here another analogy. And I also have always a lot of turtles in our therapy rooms. And we will use this to show the children that the turtle, if she goes too fast, she will feel that stuttering is difficult, that she cannot speak easily. So we will introduce to the turtle the stop signal that I also have a lot of in the therapy room. And I want the child to understand what this means, to pause. So I want them to at first to count, for instance, my pauses while I'm speaking. Then we will see videos of other children talking and even stuttering, and we will count the pauses. And then we will practice in different linguistic contexts. So we have here, for instance, this image description, and children asked to explain it using the flexible rates and the pauses. We can use a lot of games that we have here in the therapy room. These are just some of the examples that we can use. We also work on easy onsets, and for that we can have so many analogies to it. But I think that the important message and the take-home message is that important part is to know our goals, to have them well-defined with the family, to have the children understand that we are here as a team working to make speech easier, and that we can use everything to work with children who stutter. We just have to know how to adapt, how to introduce the different goals using what they choose, because they always have also words about what we will do in the session. And I think that this is the take-home message.
Thank you so much, Cátia. We could be here. We have a lot more games to show you, a lot more toys. We have this one that is the one related with tokens, but that it is so we have here a lot of, someone wrote that we have, the speech language therapist really has to be creative, of course, and we could go through a lot of materials and games. And in our course, in our online course, stuttering and assessment, stuttering assessment and intervention, you can learn a lot more about these themes. We explore all of these every time related with practice. So we know, we acknowledge the challenges of practice, and we try to bring it to our course. So please follow us on Instagram. I can show you here our Instagram. We have iStutter.center. We are always publishing things related with stuttering, related with our work, and also in our site, iStutter.center, you can find information related with our course. So thank you so much. I don't know if Gonçalo also wants to come here.
Yeah,
thank you so much, everyone.
I want to join just to explain, because some people was asking about the course and the time they have to do it. So the course is running during 3 months, between February and May, and you can take the classes on your own temp. So at your own pace. You don't need to, it's not all the sessions are live. So you can follow the sessions in your computer, in your iPhone, or your tablet. And then you have live sessions with us, with me, with Elsa and Cátia, that we explore the practical part. So the reason that we create this course, it was to bring our experience in our clinic, because we all just work with stuttering, so people can also feel more comfortable to work with people who stutter. You have all the information. Cátia shared already the link. And I want to thank you so much of being here with us. It was amazing in 3 days, how many people registered and the many people was here today. We are recording this session. We will put it also in our website, because I know that some people, unfortunately, they didn't have the chance to follow us in the beginning. So again, thank you so much. Enjoy your weekend, and I hope to see you all soon. Thank you.
Thank you so much,
Thank you
everybody.
so much. Thank you.